Despite the seemingly endless number of music festivals on offer, it can be difficult to find an event which promises a memorable experience, as well as a series of top-notch headliners. BBK, an annual extravaganza staged on the side of Bilbao's Mount Cobitas, seems to have mastered this formula. Last weekend saw music fans flock to the Basque Country to experience its combination of scenic views, seriously late nights and carefully curated lineup. The action kicked off on Thursday night with an electrifying set from Childish Gambino, whose long-overdue moment of stardom came earlier this year in the form of incendiary hit "This Is America." Die-hard fans sang along to every track in his varied set, comprised of past hits and brand-new singles Feels Like Summer and Summertime Magic, both of which were given an impressive live debut. Reggaeton queen Bad Gil followed up the momentum with her signature blend of auto-tuned, mid-tempo bangers, plenty of which were, naturally, accompanied by upside-down twerking. Later in the night came the turn of Florence the Machine to enchant the crowd with a high-energy headline performance. The flame-haired star earned acclaim this year with her stripped-back fourth album High as Hope, but she wisely eschewed new material in favor of crowd favorites including You've Got the Love, Dog Days Are Over, Put Down Your Phones and Embrace Your Neighbors, and Calvin Harris collaboration Sweet Nothing, whose EDM production was switched out for an ethereal new arrangement. Melt Festival celebrates 21 years with its biggest party to date. Barefoot and carefree, she frequently sprinted out to her enraptured audience, much to the annoyance of the exhausted security guards chasing after her, allowing them to lift her high into the air as she nailed every note. Bilbao's notoriously drizzly weather looked set to dampen the mood on Friday night, but crowds were undeterred. They valiantly donned the disposable ponchos and waited patiently for the XX. Technical difficulties, for which they apologized profusely, delayed their on-stage appearance, but a well-chosen setlist brimming with hits quickly rectified any resentment. The band had already been in town for the week, bringing the famed Night Day Festival, complete with appearances from Chicago house legend Honey Dijon and experimental dance pioneer Peggy Go, to the equally famed Guggenheim Museum. It seemed occasionally as though their energy had ran out. The setlist was sometimes baggy and lacking in flair, but their appearance on the bill was still more than justified by the frenzied fan reaction. The female DJs storming a music scene dominated by men likely. Sophie was on hand to play two lengthy DJ sets which seamlessly fused her own squelchy electronic hits with high-octane Charlie XCX bangers and the occasional 90s interlude. The acclaimed producer was most in her element, cigarette in one hand, white wine in the other, during her comparatively low-key later set, which took place in a small hut nestled on the mountainside. To dance so close to an artist so revered was an experience in and of itself, one heightened even further by its panoramic, light-dappled views. The weekend drew to its close on Saturday night with a nostalgic performance from Noel Gallagher. The echoes of Oasis classics could be heard through the entire festival site, drowned out only by the sound of drunken die-hard fans screaming along to every lyric. Electro fans later spent their evening grinding away to an infectious, synth-heavy set from Fisher Spooner, otherwise known as the founders of Electro Clash, as well as a packed, late-night hot shit mega mix. Gorillaz perform at BBK Festival Tom Hagen, but the night's true highlight came courtesy of the Gorillaz, that delivered an experimental headline show largely free of technological bells and whistles. New album cuts were interspersed with timeless classics. Feel Good Inc. even made an appearance, to spectacular effect, resulting in a festival experience which is truly hard to beat. That's not to say there weren't occasional hiccups. There were, although most were organizational. Bus queues back to campsites stretched to seemingly endless proportions at some points, whereas the cashless payment wristbands were a good idea in theory, but not so much in practice. App payments often didn't sync up, creating serious top-up difficulties. The crowd at the 1968 festival, Jefferson Airplane at IOW 1968, Gracelick with Jefferson Airplane IOW 1968, the Isle of Wight Festival, Fleetwood Mac headline in 2015, John Giddings, IOW Festival Curator. Jefferson Airplane at the 1968 festival, Arthur Brown at the 1968 event. The crowd at the 1968 festival, Jefferson Airplane at IOW 1968, Gracelick with Jefferson Airplane IOW 1968, the Isle of Wight Festival, Fleetwood Mac headline in 2015, John Giddings, IOW Festival Curator. Jefferson Airplane at the 1968 festival, Arthur Brown at the 1968 event. But part of BBK's charm is its scale and its ambition. Especially in the UK, festivals are increasingly being hindered by red tape, think repressive curfews, quick venue shifts and a general pushback from residents of gentrified neighbourhoods fighting to suppress the country's live music scene. Crowds watch a performance at BBK Festival in Bilbao, Spain. Tic de prensa. BBK appeared to face no such obstacles. Sets drifted lazily into the early hours of the morning, giving eager festival-goers real value for money. A full-price ticket is surprisingly low compared to plenty of its competitors. If it's a memorable weekend you're after, you'd be well advised to seize the opportunity and treat yourself to a few days in Bilbao. The results will be unforgettable, to say the least.